recognized symbol of excellence for your entertainment.
Hottest band this side of the Iron Curtain, the Ramones!
Welcome to Machino Music, the show that puts some music in Machino music, with your host, me, Brett Strong. Today on Machino Music, it's Ramones Top 10 Songs, my 10 favorite songs by the Ramones. Honestly, I just want to have something to do. Hey ho, let's go. Ramones Top 10 Songs, that's what we're doing here. Big fan of the Ramones. One of my all-time favorite bands. First got into the Ramones by seeing the movie Rock and Roll High School. And I'm like, who is this? They look like cartoon characters, and that's kind of what made them so cool. And they're cartoon characters right on the cover of Road to Ruin. So here's Rock and Roll High School. Love the movie. Roger Corman classic. And, they were the punk band. They really kind of like invented punk rock, at least made it mainstream for North American audiences. And, seeing the success of the Ramones, that I forget the dude's name, but the promoter who started the Sex Pistols was like, hey, we need to do that. And like, as Frank Zappa said about how most music, at least like in the late 70s and the early 80s, if it has a costume, if it has something you can dress up to, that's hit music right there. That's pop music, and punk rock kind of became that, and the Ramones kind of defined that look. The jeans and the black leather jackets. But the Ramones had the songs. They had great songs. All great songwriters in their own right. Not particularly great people. There's a lot of stories, especially Johnny Ramone. He was the guitar player. Influential, iconic, but he was a bit of a jerk. But, Joey seemed like a cool guy. Dee Dee had his demons, but he was a great songwriter. Marky, who's actually the only surviving member, not an original member, all the original members have passed away. Marky's still alive, seems like a really cool guy. His book, Punk Rock Blitzkrieg, is a great, sensational book, really like that. So, anyway, here we go with my 10 favorite Ramones songs. Coming in number 10, I Can't Make It on Time, from the End of the Century album, 1980. This album was famously produced by Phil Spector. Yeah, we all know about Phil Spector. Great producer. Just, guy was insane. He killed Lana Clarkson. But I'm not a big fan of the End of the Century album as a whole. I know a lot of people like that album. But I know for me, the whole album doesn't really work. But it's got a few tunes and that I really like. And I Can't Make It on Time is just so good. I just love that. I love the feel of it. It's just a really, just a great song. Very catchy. And that's what's so great with the Ramones songs. I mean, it wasn't just like just all out, just insane punk. They had a song. And that's because they were influenced by the girl groups that Phil Spector produced. The Ronettes. The Crystals and all those. And also surf music, like the Beach Boys. Let's just have a great pop tune. But let's just make it really fast and furious in this thing we're calling punk. That was a big spit I just did right there. But yeah. Love I Can't Make It on Time. Next, from Brain Drain, 1989, I'm going Pet Sematary. Just love it. I mean, it's kind of an obvious one. I mean, it was, of course, for the movie, the Stephen King movie. What am I doing? Itchy sideburns. But yeah, I just love the song Pet Sematary. Really cool video, them walking through the graveyard. And of course it's spelled Pet Cemetery with an S. Because, it's supposed to be kids, and kids can't spell. So they put an S, because they don't know cemetery starts with a C. The English language is silly, isn't it? Alright, coming in number 8, from the debut, the one that really kick-started it all, got the song Chainsaw, which is kind of an unofficial theme song to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which had come out a few years prior. And, just before, people were doing, or horror movies, or any movie really had a theme song. So you can kind of say maybe the Ramones kind of started that. Hey, let's do a song about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And now I guess you could sort of say it's like an unofficial theme song for that movie. It's really fun. Got chainsaw sound effects on it. It's just insane. Hit you over the head for not even 2 minutes. It just hits you over the head, and it's just and it kind of makes Leatherface seem kind of fun. Until he slices you open, and then, cuts up your friend Franklin, who, for God's sakes, the guy's in a wheelchair. But, the song at least makes Leatherface sound like he might be a pretty fun guy to hang around with. Next, coming in number 7, from the Animal Boy album, 1986, She Belongs to Me. Very different tune. Later on, the Ramones kind of went into they started to kind of more pop elements, started having more synthesizers and kind of more bigger production. Especially after working with Bill Spector, they started kind of expanding a bit on that, more of not so much the wall of sound, but kind of that same idea. We're adding more instrumentation and kind of more pop melodies. Johnny said in an interview where he kind of hated that about bands. But you did it, and you got some pretty good hits out of it. But yeah, and actually, speaking of Johnny, this song is believed to be about an abusive relationship that Johnny had. And everyone kind of experienced it on the set of Rock and Roll High School. There's a story in Marky Ramone's book kind of explaining it. Doesn't sound good. But Joey and Johnny were kind of, had both dated this girl, and yeah, it was a bit of a mess. So I think the whole song is kind of saying that, hey, don't do her wrong. She belongs to me, and, we'll be sorry if we have to fight. So I'm sure, Johnny and Joey were coming to blows a lot. They really didn't like each other. Joey seemed like, just kind of a nice guy. The guy had, his own problems. The guy was a hypochondriac. He had anxiety. He had so many problems, but he's such an icon. He got through it. Great. Love Joey Ramone. How can you not? He seems like just a sympathetic guy. One of the all-time greats. Next, coming in at number 6, the title track to Rock and Roll High School. I love Rock and Roll High School. Now, there's 2 different versions. There is the version that's on the End of the Century, which I like. And then there's also the movie version, the movie soundtrack version. I like both.
Rock and Roll High School, the school where the students rule.
Yeah, so there's also the Ramones Mania version, which doesn't sound, at least for me, doesn't really sound like either one. But yeah, I like both versions of the song. Just, yeah, so good. Love me some Rock and Roll High School. Just a fun song. Really one of those songs that really got me into the Ramones. Next up at number 5, also from Rock and Roll High School, the big introduction of the band in that movie, I Just Want to Have Something to Do. Classic punk rock song. Not really about anything. Just kind of a nonsense song. Hanging out on 2nd Avenue, eating chicken vindaloo. One of the great opening lines in music history. It means nothing. It's complete nonsense. It's so stupid. But what is this? This is what you say. And then when their introduction in the movie, Joey eating a piece of chicken, and they're just playing in Marky, just air drumming, just with sticks, and it's like there's full drums. It's so insane. But it's such a great song. But that's the first song that really kind of like, whoa, made me take notice of the Ramones. And yeah, had to be on this list. Great song. Okay, next at number 4, a song called Slug. Now this song was an outtake from Rocket to Russia, which is a fantastic album. Or as they say in Rock and Roll High School, hey, that's the Ramones' best album. Riff Randall. But yeah, Slug was just an outtake. I just love the tune. I mean, it's so much fun. It got a piano kind of on it. It's not even really fully mixed, at least the version that's been released. But yeah, I just love the tune. It's just like, it's one of those songs that maybe if it was cleaned up a little bit or just included on an album, because I mean the rawness is what makes that song. It just, I don't know. It's just a really great. If you've never heard Slug, check it out. It's just a really fun Ramones tune. It really kind of, I think, is like pretty much everything that made the band great. It's just one of those songs. So yeah, Slug. Next at number 3, from Rocket to Russia. Another kind of obvious one, but I had to put this on here. 1977's Sheena Is a Punk Rocker. Just a fun song. Again, another one. Not a whole lot to it, but it's just the energy of it. I mean, it's just, they had a lot of songs like there's Sheena Is a Punk Rocker. There was Judy Is a Punk. There was a couple, but Sheena Is a Punk Rocker is just kind of just really sets up the Ramones. And it opens up Rock and Roll High School. Everyone's dancing to that tune. It's got a real kind of surf rock feel to it. It's got that vibe. It's just kind of like a quintessential Ramones song. Like, it really kind of defines the band. And, Sheena sounds like a pretty cool chick. I'd like to hang around with Sheena because she's a punk rocker. We're in the top 2, everybody. Okay, number 2 from the Leave Home album, which sometimes I would say is my favorite Ramones album. Also from 1977. Commando. Now, this was a Dee Dee written song. Dee Dee wrote a lot of the songs. Dee Dee had a very interesting background, kind of interesting upbringing, and Commando is kind of about that. He had a military upbringing, so of course the song Commando was kind of about that, like just like the stuff he would hear growing up, and yeah, he had like a Nazi stuff kind of around. Yeah, he had an interesting life, Dee Dee. And also there's a story where he would just kind of walk around New York City and get ideas for songs. He'd walk around late at night when all the crazies are out, 1970s New York, and that's how we come up with songs. So you can kind of see, especially a guy who's already got some stuff going on, addiction problems, whatever, and yeah, he's doing that. He's going to have an interesting songwriting approach, and Commando is just, yeah. Again, another one, not even 2 minutes. But it's just an assault. You're like, whoa, this is really cool. Yeah. Commando. And my number 1 from Mondo Bizarro, 1992, Poison Heart. Just a great tune. I mean, it's just one of those songs. It just got so much meaning behind it. And it's actually Dee Dee had left the group by this point, but was still contributing songs. And it's kind of sort of about, like, sort of his feelings, like, of what was going on. Even sometimes in concert, Joey would sing, would say Dee Dee's name in the opening verse. But the whole line of just, like, it's just like not trusting people. It's a song that can be very relatable to people at times. I'm sure we have those times where we're like, man, Like the world is so ugly, and things like, I just want to walk right out of this world because everybody has a poison heart. I mean, sometimes we feel like that, and that's very relatable. And it's just such a great tune, and it just has always kind of really connected with me sometimes in those dark moments. Because, sometimes I have those dark moments. We all do. And Poison Heart has always been one of those songs that's been there for me in those times. And the Ramones are just one of those bands. They're one of those bands that I always felt was kind of always there for me because their music you have fun with it, but also they got some more serious tunes. You can have, there's a bit more meaning to them, but most of the time they're just kind of just fun. Just a lot of their lyrics are humorous. I mean, you get stuff like, Teenage Lobotomy, which is just like, just a fun song, kind of an honorable mention. You get things like the KKK Took My Baby Away, which actually has a bit more meaning to it, but is still kind of just supposed to be kind of this silly, almost novelty song. Like, it's just, they're one of those bands that just kind of did everything right. And there's a reason why the Ramones are the icons that they are, and why their music has endured, and all the original members have since passed. And I mean, that first album cover is iconic. I mean, just look at this this picture here. I mean, this is just iconic. One of the most iconic bands ever. Big Ramones fan. And if you're a fan of the Ramones, I hope you enjoyed this. That's it for this week. Until we meet again, this is Brett Strong saying good journey.